What up, y'all? Welcome back. Today in the kitchen, we are making my version of a Cajun-inspired seafood okra stew. Some of the flavors that I grew up loving. Now I'm gonna show you what I do in order to cut the calories and make this a bit more heart healthy for all of us. Check it out. All right, so the first thing we gotta do is prep our okra. Now, people tend to think that okra is really slimy, and they would not be wrong. But here is how you get rid of some of that sliminess. And that sliminess that people are referring to is actually called mucilage. And it actually can be used as a thickener in many recipes. But I know that for some people, they don't really like that. Here is what you have to do. Take the okra, and we're gonna chop it into small pieces just like this. The mucilage. And in some of the West African recipes, this mucilage is actually a preferred part of the recipe. We saw the same thing, bro, when we were in Curacao. Remember that soup, that okra soup we had? This. Wow. So we're gonna set a heavy bottom pot on medium-high heat. Once it's hot, we're gonna drizzle in a generous portion of olive oil. In goes the okra. Give it a good stir. Make sure that heat isn't up too high. And we're gonna let this cook and sizzle for at least 10 minutes. And when we saute it in the oil, it's actually going to lessen the amount of mucilage in the final recipe. This is a Cajun recipe, so now we're gonna chop up the holy trinity of Cajun cooking. Some onion, a little bit of celery, and some bell pepper. Got a beautiful color here on the okra. It looks lightly fried on the outside. Let's add in the holy trinity. Give this a good stir. We're gonna let that sizzle for a second. We're gonna chop up a tomato. As an additional thickener, we're gonna add in some tomato paste as well. And I'm gonna grab some of the Southern Creole Cajun seasoning. It's lower sodium. I'm gonna grab some really hot cayenne. I like to be a little bit heavier handed. Y'all know who I am. Just a little pinch. There we go. Maybe a little bit more. There we go. Stir this up. And what we're gonna try to do here is just bloom the spices together before we add in our broth. And I always get the low sodium so that way I can control as much sodium in my diet. Season to taste with some sea salt and some fresh cracked pepper. Bring it to a simmer, and I'm gonna add in some bay leaves, you know, for mama. And let this simmer for at least 20 minutes. If you got a little bit more southern patience than that, I would say a good 30, 45 minutes to just let all these flavors melt together. While this is cooking, here's some background on this recipe. Historians have tracked the cultivation of okra back to Ethiopia around the 12th century. It quickly spread throughout all of Africa and has since been a staple in African and African diaspora cuisines. You see, slave traders brought familiar food crops along with the enslaved Africans because they were familiar with planting them and cultivating them. Pretty soon, you had variations of okra soups and stews like gumbo popping up all throughout the South by enslaved cooks. Now, our last bit of work here is just to add in some seafood because Cajun soup usually has some seafood flavor in there. Give this a good stir. Oh yeah. The longer you cook this soup on a low heat and let it just simmer, the more those flavors are gonna melt together. And, woo, look at this. Really reminds me of gumbo. The crab in there, and look at all that okra.
That's a home-cooked meal, bro.
It's a home-cooked meal?
Let's go.
I like to let the soup cool down a bit just before serving, plus it'll thicken up a bit more too. Even though it's good right now, trust me, it's even better the next day. Cheers, man.
Cheers, bro.
All right, first bite.
It smells so good.
How is it? It's good. It's all right?
Man, let's go.
I really do like it. Reminds me of home. Mama, hopefully I did you proud. I know I'll get a text about it. Well, what you should have done is...
You got to sprinkle a little bit of this. Do a little bit of this.
Try out this recipe. Comment below how you would switch it up, or maybe change the flavor profile, but also keep it heart healthy. Happy Black History Month, happy Love Month, and happy Heart Health Month. Peace.
Cheers, y'all.